It's spooky season, so that means it's time to have a go at building something creepy and unsettling. Something that is becoming very common across my channel these years. I do love doubling down on spooky season content. Today in this video, we'll be building the old Marine Hospital. Now, this is featured in my world in the swampy ruins of Rodney. Now, if you're a regular to the channel, Rodney is a flooded town that has featured in several videos over the year, most notably the Windsor Mansion ruins, which you can watch here, the little card above. Anyway, this place is actually based off a real life example, more to come on that later on. But for now, let me show you how I went about building this structure. So the reason I'm building this place is that it forms part of the storytelling arc Escape from Rodney, which is within my current Halloween Chronicles cinematic series. Now, if you haven't watched that, I recently released a video on that, which was Chapter 1, the Director's Cut. Now, the Director's Cut featured a load more scenes and, well, I refilmed most of it in order to follow along a story a bit better. Chapter 2 is in the works and Chapter 3 is also under production, so this building was needed to be built in order to facilitate some scenes that will be coming up later this year. The hospital will become the main stage for all the happenings in Chapter 3, the Relentless Swamp. Therefore, I wanted to make it as overgrown and unsettling as I can. You will see how that pans out as the video progresses. For the building, I have taken inspiration from the Marine Hospital built in Galena, Illinois. It was built in 1859. The building is set out in a square shape with two intersecting rectangles forming the internal rooms and a large wraparound two-story veranda. That forms the square footprint of the building. On the low sloping roof stands an octagonal cupola, which I think gives it a very unsettling feel. It kind of has these eyes that when you look around at all of it, you can see it from anywhere above the tree line. Although, in my mind, that's kind of where I wanted to go with this and why it became quite an unsettling building. The building still exists today, however, it is lacking the veranda and the original cupola, with the latter being replaced earlier in the 21st century. It was removed in the 60s, I believe, because it was becoming a little bit unstable. Now, you can read more about this in a link below. I have added a link in the description to the history of the Marine Hospital in Galena, which is just a very strange building. There is something very, very off with it. Anyway, with this build I wanted to capture the essence of the real life building, but also I needed to add some decay. I say some, you will see how much decay this place ends up in, especially since it's now sitting in a swamp. It will rot out, and that's exactly what it does. When building the hospital, I had to take a few breaks just due to how uneasy I felt in it. And I'm not even joking, like in the basement, I would walk around, I'd be like, I don't like it in here. I don't want to be in here. It was very, very strange because, you know, I'm building this place. Why would I feel uneasy inside it? And I just think some buildings have a very unsettling, a disturbing part that just makes you feel inertly very afraid. And I'm happy I was able to generate this in the game where we are just placing blocks. Now, I'm not the only one to say this about this building. A few other builders on the server came over and also partook in the building, just looking at it and went, I don't feel right in here. And it was, yes, very odd. Something very odd. Now, behind the building itself stands the very large, when I say stands, sits the very large graveyard. So as mentioned earlier, this building will play host to a chapter of my cinematic series. Without giving too much away, in the server lore, this place was owned and run by the Monroe family. A Dr. Peter Monroe was the main physician, and under his care some 1,100 patients died. A reminder that this is not real world story. I don't know how many people died in this place in the real world, but this is all made up now for the server lore. Therefore, he had to keep expanding the graveyard, which, as I mentioned, sits flooded behind the main hospital building. At the back of the graveyard stood the Monroe family mausoleum, built in the Egyptian revival style in around 1850. It was constructed before the hospital, as the land for which the hospital stands on was once the family's home. Many generations of the Monroes are present in there, all bar the body of Dr. Peter. While his body was laid to rest in the tomb, it disappeared in the 1880s and never to be seen again. Some say he can be seen walking the halls at night, whistling a cheery tune, as he often so did. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this little time-lapse build. It's been good to finally get back around to making one. Also, it's just good fun to make up a story for a building, don't you think? I find it gives it a purpose to exist in Minecraft. I imagine most of you do this with the stuff you build as well. Anyway, I would love to see what you guys have made for spooky season, so please head on over to our Discord, link in the description below, and share what you've built with us. Anyway, coming up now is a short cinematic showcasing the full build in all its horror, so be sure to stick around for that.